Bong Joon-Ho's next project will be a Korean horror action film. That is the headline on today's MBE Movie News.
That is correct, John, and according to Variety, it's not the only film that is on his mind at the moment.
No.
Of course, this Korean language film that he set his sights on next, as you said, is going to be a horror action film. But apart from that, he's also doing another film that's going to be English language based, which is going to be half shot here in the UK and half shot here, in the US.
Yes.
Reading this article, John, this suggests to me with the success of Parasite, it looks like he's now branching out.
Yeah.
And, obviously want to take his production westbound. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, Stephen, from what I've heard of the guy, and look, I actually have went and watched a couple of his films now. I've seen Okja. What I say, it's Okja. I'm not Korean, so if I'm butchering that pronunciation, I do apologise. And I watched Snowpiercer as well. He's a very accomplished director. He's got a very unique style. And look, I think it will lend itself well to, obviously, Western civilization as well. Certainly, it doesn't have to lend himself to any specific civilization. That's just a nonsensical concept that I'm speaking there. But, yeah, it'll be very cool to see how he tackles an English UK-centric, a UK-US-centric movie. I'm doing it as well. And how he'll perhaps bring that over will be something he'll be able to do. I'm not too sure. But I'm certainly looking forward to it, but Stephen, I'm also looking forward to this Korean horror movie because you look back at the man's filmography, certainly the last 19 years or so, there isn't many horror movies in there.
I think
he's done a lot of drama and fantasies.
The closest probably is The Host, John, which was obviously that was part sort of English based as well with Chris Evans and Tilda Swinton. But it was a sci-fi horror. So that was 13 years ago. I remember that film. Obviously, I wasn't too familiar with the director at this point. But yeah, I mean, this will be probably out and out horror / action. I would say it's probably more predominantly horror. But this is his sort of first hand at that. But yeah, you're right. I think this intrigues me more, ironically, than the obviously the UK/US film that he's going to be producing and directing as well.
It's taking place during 2016 and it is based on real life events.
Yeah, it's a head scratcher. Yeah,
I try to research it, Stephen, and I can't for the life of me think of what this real life event could be that he's basing this movie on. I perhaps need to look even further. But it's surely not Brexit, because that happened in 2016. Good Lord, we don't need a movie about Brexit. We see that on the screens on a daily basis. But Stephen, as you did say, he's tackled English-Korean movies before. He certainly has. He's no stranger to bridging that divide, but more so coming over and basing a movie in the UK and the US. It'll be very intriguing to see how he tackles that. How can he take perhaps the greatness of a Parasite and imbue it into this next movie? I don't know. But like Stephen, as you did say as well, I'm more excited for the Korean horror movie because it is set in Seoul again. It seems to be a place close to his heart. He's probably born there, in actual fact. I've not actually looked to know. He was born in Daegu. But he sets a lot of his movies in Seoul. So that's the one that's grasping me more so than perhaps the UK drama-based movie. And the fact that it is his next project as well, can he build off of this, obviously the hype and just the acclaim of Parasite? I've still not seen Parasite. It doesn't come out until next year.
I think he's got to. It's very hard. Maybe not so much in these days, but certainly 20 years ago, even longer than that, it'd have been hard for any sort of director from that neck of the woods to really break into the sort of Western market. Yeah. This is his opportunity. As I said, he's obviously dabbled with English language films before, but I think because of the success with Parasite. And we're going to see probably more of that at the Oscars as well, John.
I hope so.
I think this film's going to really just, project there as well. I would say he's got to, take the opportunity while he can, because this could be his breakthrough for. Not that he's got to. He's not.
He's very well.
He doesn't have to prove to anyone what a great director he is, but to have that.
But it's
platform,
more cinephile, Stephen.
Yes,
it's a cinephile demographic who really know of this chap. When you're trying to scratch the surface of the wider movie-going audience in perhaps the US, the UK, Europe and whatnot, this is going to be make or break perhaps for his career going forward. It could really catapult him into being a worldwide renowned director. He's already renowned. I'm not doing him down. He's got a fantastic fan base. We've seen it when we've reacted to trailers and also spoke about Parasite. He's got a very fervent fan base. So look, I'm not saying he has to go out and this is going to make or break his career, and it'll maybe make him even more well known. He's already well known, I understand that, but this could really catapult his career onto a new level of success. We spoke about it, Stephen. People were comparing him to perhaps the Korean Christopher Nolan, and that he can really jump across a wide degree of demographics and genres and whatnot, and he just seems to be able to have this something palpable in his movies that just attracts people in, and it's excellence. We've seen it with Stuckman. He reviewed Parasite and he says it's one of the 3 top movies this year. He regards as absolute cinema and art.
Yeah.
So the more I hear about it, the more I'm excited for Parasite as a standalone thing. And I have went and watched subsequently other movies of his, and I can see what the attraction is. He's a very good director, essentially. I get caught in my words there. I wanted to say something more fancy, but it didn't come to my brain in time. But look, Steve, we'll move on.
We'll just wait with bated breath for how Parasite obviously performs here in the UK. It's not out here yet, but and also, we'll keep an eye on his next projects as well. But we'll move on, John, to our next article. This is coming in from Screen Rant. It's Daniel Craig confirms Bond 25 is his last, and in brackets, and he won't direct another 007. That really confused the hell out of us, because we then...
went back and checked.
Did he direct a Bond film? I don't think he
did.
He didn't. It's just the way it's worded. It just means that he's not got any intentions coming back to the franchise once he's done with Bond 25, the title this. It's obviously called No Time to Die.
Yeah.
Don't know why you're calling it that. It's just
because it's a landmark movie.
Yeah, it's his 25th Bond film, John. So what's your thoughts on this, John? It's obviously... We all know Bond has a shelf life, with actors, but also from the acting point of view as well. Daniel Craig's a very talented guy. I've seen him in things, obviously I've seen him in things before he did Bond, but out with, obviously, the franchise, he's took his hand to some dry, dark humour films as well. What's your take on this though, John? Do you think it's time for Daniel Craig to step away?
Yeah, absolutely, Stephen. It's time. He's done a host of movies. I want to say he's done 4 movies now, but I'm not entirely sure. He ain't the biggest Bond fan, admittedly, but he's done a host of Bond movies now, and as you did say, it's a franchise which has a shelf life. It's very cyclical. It needs to be rejuvenated and refreshed every now and again, but you bring in a new actor to portray it. Times have changed. I want to see Idris Elba, or whatever the hell they're calling him these days. Idris, I don't know. Seems to change on a daily basis. I want to see him come in and play Bond, or maybe even Tom Hardy or something like that. Something different, shake it up, do something different. A less refined guy that maybe has to work his way in to the role and, just assimilate into this secretive world and become more refined. That's something I'd like to see. Do something different. I understand it's based within the books. I can't recall who it was that done the novels.
Fleming, wasn't it? Ian Fleming, yeah.
Yeah, so they're kind of a terror to that, and they have to obviously try and maintain those standards. But look, I want to see them do something different. It is time for him to move on. As an actor, he has to go off and do new things. He doesn't want to be typecast as being Bond his whole life. I have seen him do other movies. There was one very interesting one. I tried to find it.
Well, the one he did with Adam Driver.
Logan Lucky.
I always get that one wrong. But I thought
there was another one though, Stephen, where he played like a tragic figure. His family had died, and he stayed in the house.
He's in Knives Out, isn't he?
He's in Knives Out. He's playing the detective in that. So I've seen him in a whole host of movies. He's a very accomplished, obviously, actor. He's not going to be defined by Bond, but it'll certainly be one of these standout things in his career. I'm absolutely sure about that. He's been an okay Bond. I thought the movies have been okay. They've not been the best. For me, it's still Connery.
But I think John, I'm the same as you. I'm not the biggest fan of Bond, but I do appreciate the franchise to an extent, because I think just prior to Daniel Craig's appointment, the franchise wasn't doing that great. Obviously, Pierce Brosnan. I want to say before him, he took it probably 2 films too much, if you like. It started to do that thing that the Roger Moore sort of version. It had that kind of hint of pathetic comedy in it, and it was getting to that stage as well. And I think as well, you can overstay your welcome in a role as well. And the fans do start to lose interest. That's why this franchise is I want to say unique, but I'm thinking of Doctor Who as well. You have to hit that reboot button, and start again. Some of the names you just mentioned there, John, would intrigue me very much, and I think it would.
There's a whole host of people could come
I
in.
think it would attract a new fan base as well, you know, if they brought someone in like Idris Elba as well, you know.
Has because, a third pronunciation. Idris. So, there's a whole host.
I think that would be a good shout. You know, I think it would take the character in a new direction.
And he's a very accomplished actor as well.
Yeah, you know, and he's got the charisma as well, you know, and he's got the charm of Bond as well. So I think it would come very easily to an actor like his, you know, his calibre.
Certainly could, Stephen. He can do action, he can do drama. He's a very refined chap. He's big, he's strong. He can do his own sets and what do you call them, stunts.
Yeah.
So he's certainly the guy for me that I want to see coming in and replacing, obviously, Daniel Craig. But Stephen, I don't know what to make of this movie. It was obviously mired with issues. We had Danny Boyle on board directing it initially. He stepped away over conflict with the script. This concept of Bond essentially being safe, he can't die. It's like the classic Alan Partridge.
I think there was conflict between him and the actor as well, wasn't
there?
Yeah,
there was. Yeah. It was over a whole host of things. I think the producer too, there was an issue with the antagonist. They were wanting to bring in some obscure Polish guy to play the antagonist. They obviously broke up, went off. I think they brought on Fukunaga, I think the chap's name is, to direct it. Then they subsequently bring in Rami Malek to play the antagonist. So I don't know what was going on there, how they went from a Polish obscure foreign actor to Rami Malek coming in, who's hot off the success of an Oscar win, Best Actor. Very strange. But look, apparently it wasn't mired with production issues thereafter. They got it wrapped very quickly back in October, just last month in actual fact. And now we're talking about, obviously, Daniel Craig confirming he won't be back. This is his last. I personally don't really care, because as I did say, I'm a huge Bond fan. I wouldn't bother if Bond 25 was the last Bond movie.
Fair enough.
But Stephen, the final thing I'll add is, what do you make of this side little thing? Naomi Harris, I believe she is maybe playing Agent 007 at the start of Bond 25 and then dies. And then obviously, I think Daniel Craig's Bond, James Bond obviously is away, he's retired, he comes back out and assumes the 007 tag. She says, and it's quoted in the Daily Mail,
Must be true then.
Yeah. Absolute shit show if I rag that. That she reveals that the female characters in No Time to Die drive the plot forward. Is this something that you want to see?
Well, there's two things, John, I take out of this. There is two things I take out of it. Well, apart from those three things, it's absolute BS. I'm going to say I hate saying that. But the other two things, I think, John, is that they're trying to customise, they're trying to, you know, obviously get us used to maybe perhaps a female James Bond at some point, which I don't need conditioning for that, you know, it doesn't really bother me.
Just that franchise though, Stephen, the way it's treated female characters over the last 4 or 5 decades.
It could be that they're perhaps maybe going to do a bit of a little prequel thrown in there, you know, with the actress as well, or the actor I should say. That's a possibility as well, John, so I'm not really sure what the point of it is, other than obviously the actor saying, you know, the female characters in this drives the plot forward. We're going to have to wait and see before we can make that judgment, but that's a couple of things that have just come into my head that could be possibilities.
Well, Stephen, the reason I brought it up was just purely because I searched up Bond 25, No Time to Die. It was purely because we've seen criticisms levelled at the Bond franchise for the handling of female characters, obviously Bond girls they call them, just the way they were obviously objectified. In previous movies, they were just something that Bond could discard.
They were hardly soccerettes or whatever.
No, they had a part to play. I mean, we had Hayley Berry in there at one point.
Grace Jones,
so they weren't just set dressing just for him to throw away, but they were, in a way, they weren't like James Bond level.
Yeah.
And this obviously created furore when we discovered that Naomi Harris was playing 007 at some point in the movie. Male fans, I would presume, were up in arms. Good Lord, they're trying to bring these woke politics into Bond now. They're spoiling Bond. We're going to have a female 007. He's handing over the baton to her. Well, no, it's not. She actually dies at the start and then he reassumes his role. But yeah, I actually find that quite a positive thing, that they're driving the plot. They're changing up the way they're handling female characters in the franchise. It's certainly something I'm not adverse to. I wouldn't mind seeing a female Bond character at some point. Lord, you spoke about, obviously, Doctor Who. We've got a female Doctor Who just now. She's, by all accounts, doing a very good job. Yeah. So look, not something I'm against.
Yes.
And as I did say, not a Bond fan anyway, so perhaps not the best guy to be speaking about matters of Bond, because I'll be called out in it, probably.
By Alan Partridge.
By Alan Partridge. It could be the answer.
Move on to our final article this week. This is something that just kind of broke on social media a bit.
Yes.
With Zack Snyder, obviously, coming out and saying there is a Snyder Cut. This is Justice League. Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot call for release of film Snyder Cut amid HBO Max rumours. What's your take on this, John? Because this is something that's been going about since obviously Justice League was released 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago this month, actually. It was November, wasn't it? 2017. Yeah. We all know obviously the tragedy involving the director with his daughter, I think it was. Josh Whedon came on and obviously stepped in to sort of finish off, post-production as well. I think there was reshoots as well involved in that, and obviously took it away in a different sort of, turn. But what's your thoughts on this anyway, John? Because we know that obviously Gal Gadot, who played Wonder Woman, Ben Affleck, obviously the Batman, are coming out with the hashtag release the Snyder Cut. Wow.
What's my thoughts on it? What's the point? That's my thoughts. If you want my short thoughts, what is the point? There is no point to it. The ship has sailed, it's gone. DC, Warner Brothers have moved off to pastures now. They have a new vision for the characters. They're going down the route of the traditional standalone movies, or maybe incremental side movies that are not interconnected into a greater cinematic universe. We're seeing it with obviously Matt Reeves and the Batman. It's potentially a trilogy. Wonder Woman's doing her own thing. Aquaman you could argue he was part of the DCEU, but that first Aquaman movie is a standalone movie. It can be shaped any way they want.
Yeah.
They're moving off to in a different direction. It feels needless to me. It feels like they're perhaps appeasing the fan base.
Yeah.
But
if anything, John, I think it's going to muddy the waters with sort of casual viewers, But
the other side of the coin, Steve, would be that it's perhaps doing justice to Zack Snyder's vision of the Justice League movie.
Yeah,
pardon the pun, yeah. Because he also had personal issues. I think his daughter passed away, he had to step away. Josh Whedon came in. It was a complete Frankensteinian monster of a movie. Yeah. It wasn't at all what Snyder had envisaged. Now, whether you're a fan of him or not...
The cut was the main villain of the movie, ironically.
Yes. Now, depending on what your thoughts are on Snyder himself, you would say, well, I don't care whether it's his envisaged vision for this movie or not, because I hate the guy, he's crap. Or if you love him, then you're saying, well, it's absolutely fair that this man gets to see his form of the movie on screen. Certainly if it's already completed, which by all accounts, according to Snyder, it's there. Now, I would cast doubt on that notion of completed, because I don't feel like it is completed. I feel like it's bare bones.
Josh Whedon in then?
Yeah, it's like a wireframe of a movie. Yeah. It's just basic. There's no post-production stuff being put on this, no effects, nothing. So if you release the Snyder Cut, I think it will be like what Kevin Smith was talking about, where you have to condition and warn audience members beforehand, maybe buying it because it's not going in a theatre, that what they're going to experience isn't a full cinematic movie. It'll be what his vision was, and it'll be like on rails, but you'll see.
Yeah, John, this reminds me of Superman 2 release back in the day when Richard Donner, who did the original 78 movie, filmed Superman, the original movie, and Superman 2 back to back. Yeah. And for whatever reason, there's a lot of politics involved. Richard Donner stepped away from production when he'd already had biggest majority of the part 2 in the can, but obviously there was a lot of pickup shots, etc., etc. Gene Hackman had a fallout with the producers as well, Salkinds, I think they were called. So they couldn't use his likeness, and Richard Lester, who directed A Hard Day's Night, stepped in and did exactly what Josh Whedon had to do: pick up the pieces and try and put them all together. And what you got was a change in tone from the first movie.
You were about to say something else.
It was more a pile of... that was actually an okay film, to be fair, John. If you compare it to Superman 3 or Superman 4, it's actually a decent film.
The people!
But years later, they released, I think it was in 2007, they released a Richard Donner cut, and it had some screen tests to fill in the blanks. I don't know if you've seen this, John.
I've not.
And
that's just what we get.
They reused the ending of Superman 1, the whole reversing, making the world spin round the other way to reverse time. It doesn't make any sense. That's not how it works. That's not how the Force works. And what I'm getting at, John, is the experience of that cut didn't really affect the way I watched the cinematic
version,
release or anything like that.
It's just different.
I don't think it's going to have any sort of negative effect on the one we got from 2017 if it is released. I think you're right, John. I don't think they would want to put all their money into a cinematic release of this. I think if anything, it would probably be some kind of a DVD release, Blu-ray release. I don't know, because I don't think it would have the interest, John. I think, as you said, it'll have a cult following. People that are right into Zack Snyder. I'll be honest with you. I seen the film 2 years ago in the cinema, and I was bored. I was really bored of the film, and I don't really want to go back and watch these characters all interact again, because I thought the plot was lame. I thought the chemistry just wasn't there, and obviously the CG that was on Henry Cavill's face as well was terrible, but that was the least of the problems.
It was. Stephen, look, you're right. The movie was a disaster. How much of that was down to the Frankenstein-y nature? Obviously, Whedon coming in being so jarring with what Snyder had beforehand. I don't know how much of it was down to just pure plot. I've no idea. Only Snyder will know. Clearly, Affleck and Gal Gadot, I've seen some promise in it that they want it released. I actually reacted to a Ben Affleck movie the way back, a trailer, and I says that it's like a microcosm of his life. He's going through a hard time at the moment, and he's clearly haunted by the dawn of justice and the Justice League. Yeah. What that's did to his career, and he's perhaps wanting some vindication, proof that look, there was something good here. It wasn't me. And release this cut and you'll see it. I don't know. Stephen, I will watch it. One thing's for sure, if it comes out, I will watch it just to see.
I don't think Warner Brothers want to go there, John. They've moved on from this.
They have.
As you said, John, we've had Shazam as well thrown in there. Joker's just came out. It's absolutely knocked the ball at park.
And it's infinitesimally better than anything that Snyder could probably create, Stephen.
So they've moved on, and I think most people should move on now.
They should. Stephen, the final thing I'll add, it's just a shame that Snyder didn't get to realise his overarching vision for the DCEU in general.
They'll always have the Man of Steel, John, which is a fine film.
Stephen, I love it. Absolutely love it. And it's vastly underrated. It's a real shame that we've not had more Superman movies from Henry Cavill. But look, that's just life, horses for courses and all that jazz. We shall see if it comes out and if it is any better than Joss Whedon's Frankenstein. I want to say something, but I'll not swear because it's totally unnecessary. And on that note, Stephen, I shall round up today's MBE movie news. What did you guys make of the news of Bong Joon-Ho potentially creating 2 new movies, one a horror action, one a drama movie set in the UK and the US? What did you make of this news about Daniel Craig leaving the Bond franchise after No Time to Die? And what the hell do you make about this Snyder Cut nonsense? Do you care about it? Do you think it's necessary? Will Warner Brothers give it the full cinematic gloss, if you like? If you've got anything to say, you can comment below. Let us know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. You can dislike it if you've hated it. Doesn't matter. And subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying content like this. And me and Stephen will be back again tomorrow for another episode of MBE Movie News.